So, as usual, revision, revised GDP growth minus 1%. So, not good news. However, as Zero Hedge says here, as one supremely smart CNBC mainstream media talking head summed it all up, quote, today's negative GDP number was excellent news. Today's shooting of a child is excellent news. Anyone? And all the zombies who watch it? Oh, excellent news. Huh. Wait a minute. Once upon a time, the stock market would get smacked down on that kind of news. And once upon a time, gold and silver would rise on that kind of news. And here we have silver and gold not moving much, but down a tiny bit. As of yesterday, when this news came out. And the stock market, green shoots everywhere. Green shoots. Highs like you can't believe. The Dow Jones, the S&P 500. Great. This guy must be an intelligent. Today's negative GDP number was excellent news. Apparently it was, because the whole stock market loved it. And if it was truly excellent news, as in GDP growth, fudging the numbers or not, was actually high, like, wow, hey, that really is good news, the stock market would go up anyways. Good news, stock market goes up. Bad news, stock market goes up. What is this, some kind of fun house? You remember Willy Wonka? What is this, some kind of fun house, Wonka? Why, having fun? What is this, some kind of fun house? Why, having fun watching the stocks go up when they should go down? And sure enough, thanks to someone's multi-billion dollar bid at the all-time highs mid-afternoon, we went to the moon, Alice. The dash for trash has a new life, as most shorted have now risen 6 days in a row. The biggest squeeze in over 3 months. This all happened as bonds rallied, though yields rose modestly on the day. VIX rose, USD/Japan currency would not play along, and aside from the spike in volume on a total lack of liquidity. Gold and silver were monkey hammered early on, but limped back off their lows as WTI crude rallied from the GDP print on. The S&P 500 is now only 30 points short of Goldman Sachs' June 2015 target. So gosh, we're a whole year in advance of where Goldman Sachs even thought. Man, this must be a phenomenal recovery we're seeing here. Wow. What else we got here? A bunch of charts. So what did Lindsey Williams say a good while ago? Like after the bailout happened a few years ago. The banker bailout, too big to fail bailout. He said, and I quote, "You can take this to the bank because my elite friend told me so," right? And he said, you're going to see the stock market rise to all-time highs. You're going to see it rise. And just when you think it can't rise anymore, this is it. This is the top. It's going to rise some more. And then it's going to rise some more. And then when you say again, there's no chance. This is definitely the high. This is it. It's going to rise some more. In order for him to be right on a prediction like that, absolutely absurd things have to happen. For you to say to yourself, okay, this is it, it can't rise anymore. You know, in other words, GDP growth minus 1%, not looking good at all. stock market rises. Jobless numbers, even though we fudged them, revision especially, boy, we really missed that mark. We're not looking good. Stock market rises. What was this company firing 16,000 people? The other day I heard about, literally just a few days ago. I don't even remember the name. Some company. We're going to let go 16,000 people. And other companies are shutting down. Chain stores especially. Closing down. Only the strongest of those chains will survive. And what happens? You guessed it. Stock market rallies. Stock market goes up even more. You cannot have that happening in a true free market system, because the free market would see that and know this is not good news. Stock market's not going to rally. So who's controlling the stock market? How is the stock market rising? Well, let me ask you, who got all the money in the bailout? Trillions of dollars have been printed. And I know the TARP fund, Troubled Asset Relief Program, was somewhere around $850 billion. But that's child's play on the stock market. That's nothing on the stock market. So we need a lot more money than that if you're going to move the market, right? If there's someone rigging these markets, making them go up, there's got to be a lot of money in play to do that. Well, as you will recall, we had the right same time from talking about Troubled Asset Relief Program, bailout, banker bailout, etc. What was the national debt at? In other words, right when Obama won, this is when this happened, won the first election, 2008, our debt was $9 trillion. It was only not even a whole lot of time after that, maybe 3 or 4 years later, when our debt was 12 and then 13 or 14 trillion. I mean, it was literally like 3-4 years max. Remember, they rose the debt ceiling like $1 trillion, and then 30 days, right as Bush was leaving office, Obama stepping in, they raised it like $1 trillion. Obama takes office, shortly after they raised it another $1 trillion. By the end of the year, raised it another $1 trillion. 30 days later after that, raised it another $1 trillion, right? So we're talking in a very short period of time, several trillions of dollars were printed. Now allegedly, well, that's to help the United States keep going. But if you're going to rig the stock markets, and believe me, it's not just ours. You can look at our pals over in the EU zone. Their markets are not looking like ours. I mean, aren't looking all that bad either. And since you saw that we gave them their banks money too, that was part of the deal. We gave them their banks money and our banks money. Who's pumping up the stock market? The banks are pumping up the stock market. How do you think these guys never make a wrong move? Their companies are just doing phenomenally well. They don't miss trades, right? They don't make a bad mistake in a trade. JP Morgan, all year long, pretty much makes no mistakes. Profitable every trade they make. How is that possible? How? Because they are the stock market. They have the money and the power. They control the stock market. Every aspect of the stock market is them in the club. They're the bankers. So it is no surprise that when a big number, a very important number, known as gross domestic product, GDP of the United States, comes out and prints a -1, that is crappy news as can be. And yet markets rally. This is precisely, absolutely to the T of what Lindsey Williams said. This and only this can just be described to fit what he said would happen. There's nothing else. So once again, he's being proven correct. So all I can say is I can't wait to see what his next words of wisdom are, if you will. As he said, he talked to his elite friend recently and is trying to figure out how to put it all down. How, whatever the hell that means. And maybe he's debating, do I just go on the radio shows to release this? Do I do another DVD series? Because he does make a couple dollars off those DVDs. However, as he always says, if anyone gets it, give it away freely. Yeah, do what you want with it. So there's nothing wrong with that, and there's certainly not anything wrong with someone trying to make a couple of dollars. I mean, is there any other source on the face of the earth? I've been following Lindsay since 2007, by the way. And when I saw that price of oil go from wherever the hell it was at up to, $150 a barrel, like he said it would, in the very next year, and then while it's $147 a barrel, he's out on the radio shows telling everybody he's gotten word from the boys it's going down to 50 and below. And once again, even though he tells people, I've said this before, here's a few examples. One in the 1980s, they laughed me off the radio shows, and then when it happened, they all begged me to come back on and talk about it and ask me if I'm a prophet of God. Am I psychic? How did I know this? Even though I've already told them how I know it. I know an oil executive who tells me these things. These people set everything that happens in the world. These are the ones that control it. So sure enough, the same damn thing happens where they're laughing him off the radio show when it's $150 a barrel, and he says, guess what? It's going to 50 fairly rapidly. It went to $50 in December. From July to December, it was at $50 in that few months. And I look at this headline. I've mentioned this before. Saudi Arabia to cut 2 million barrels per day production to push prices back up. In other words, Saudi Arabia really thought that there's this thing called supply and demand. They haven't figured out that the price of oil is set on Wall Street. Therefore, supply and demand are completely irrelevant. What is relevant is how much paper out there setting the price of oil, and who controls that paper, who has all that paper, those futures contracts, and that's the club. So they cut 2 million barrels of production, and within 2 weeks, it was down to $40 a barrel. So they cut production. Normally, supply and demand, prices should rise. Prices did not rise. They, as a matter of fact, went down from 50 to 40. That is a huge amount of money when it's $50. What is that, 20% or so? So, bottom line, or would that be 10? Yeah, that's like 20%. So, the bottom line is, Lindsay was right, and I started paying attention to him heavy duty from that time period on. From 2008, I already saw him, listened to him talk in 2007 at the Granada Forum. I had the DVD, I watched it, and all I could do was sit and wait. I mean, I hadn't seen anything come true yet, and then sure enough, 2008 rolls around. Oh my God, Lindsay said this would happen. While it's happening, hey, it's going to 50. It's going to go to 50. Yeah, right, went to 50. That's what I said. I don't care who he says he knows or what doesn't know. He's right, I'm following him. So, as he said, these elite, they're only human, right? So sure, they can make mistakes. Sometimes their plans don't go on exactly when they want them to. And as he said, when he would always try to ask, or like, do you know when you're going to do this? Almost, not always, but almost every time, the response is pretty much, we don't really have a time frame. We just have kind of like a timeline. We do this first. As soon as that task is completed, we go to the next task. When that's completed, we go to the next one. That's how they work. Now, sometimes they do have something set in stone on as far as time goes. And you can go right now, YouTube, JSNIP4, 2010, October 2010, Lindsay Williams, right? Go to YouTube, type in for the search, JSNIP4, October 2010, Lindsay Williams. That's the whole thing you want to search for. And you will see my sorry butt on there giving you a summary of what I just heard from Lindsay Williams. You can also find the full Lindsay Williams, him going around to the different radio shows, same time frame. Type in Lindsay Williams, October 2010, and you'll see this, basically listen to him say it himself, where he tells everybody there's going to be this uprising in the Middle East. And I don't know if he said at that exact moment that the Muslim Brotherhood would be given to each nation, or he said that a little bit later on. I can't remember at this point in time. I think he did. But he said there's going to be an uprising in which the current regimes are going to be overthrown for other regimes, and it's going to start in Egypt. It will then go to Yemen, Libya, Syria, possibly one more after Syria, and then Saudi Arabia. And once the uprising got to Saudi Arabia, you would see the gas prices spiking again like 2008, except possibly even higher this time. Instead of $150 a barrel, we could see $200 a barrel or plus, or 200 plus. He wasn't sure, and they didn't be too specific on that. And then we're going to have to default on our debt. The Middle East is going to be in big trouble at that time because we default on the debt. They're going to be furious that we've defaulted on our debt because they're the ones holding all these 30-year plus bonds that we gave them long ago that they're waiting to collect on. And when they collect on them, we've already defaulted or devalued our dollar so bad they're upset. They tell us, screw you guys, we're not selling the United States oil anymore. All of a sudden the United States freaks out, oh my God, what are we going to do, what are we going to do? Hey, we just found this massive pool of oil. One of them happens to be at, you guessed it, where Lindsey Williams said he found it in 1930 with the rest of the club. Prudhoe Bay, near Prudhoe Bay, Alaska, off of Gull Island. And we're now energy independent again. Prices come way back down, except he said, however, you will never see the true price of what you should be paying, which is around $1, $1.50 maybe. You're not going to get that. They're going to still keep it around $4 or whatever it is, or higher than it should be for us Americans. And he, at one point, came out a little later and said, guys, remember what I told you about that? I want you, as soon as we go to commercial break, I was on the Alex Jones show, as soon as we go to commercial break, just go type in your favorite news agency or just go on the internet and search for this. U.S. or USS maybe, Liberty oil rig, something like that. And see what you find and see where it's heading. I'll tell you where it's heading. It's heading to Prudhoe Bay, Alaska, on that massive pool of oil. It's going to be sitting there on standby until these events take place. It's already ready to go. It's the largest oil rig ever created in the world. And it's going to be needed to suck that massive pool of oil out. So sure enough, I open another browser, type that in. Oh, it's being towed. Where's it going? Oh, right where he said it's going. It's there. It's been there for a while now. But it's just sitting there quietly, silently, just sitting there. Sitting on top a massive pool of oil that we can't touch until the elite play their little game, do their little things, destroy lives around the world so they can implement their new world order, and then we get to have our oil. But after the prices spike once again, so that we all freak out, oh my God, $6 a gallon, $7, whatever it's at, oh my God, America's economy just collapsed because of oil, oh my God. You remember Ben Bernanke gave a speech one time, old Ben Bernanke, head of the Federal Reserve, and said, oh, we have all these different tools in our toolbox in the Federal Reserve that we're pretty confident we can keep the recovery, even though it's slow, we can keep it going and help it on, except for one condition. And that one condition would be something like if the price of oil goes above around 120 a barrel, at that point we couldn't sustain that. We couldn't help, we couldn't continue helping the recovery. That would be the big monkey wrench in the plan. So you don't suppose they're going to make the price of oil go that high so they can say it was because the price of oil went so high that we had to default on our debt, we had to revalue or devalue our dollar, blah, blah, blah. And once again, all someone has to do that knows anything in Congress especially is stand up and say, wait a minute, how's the price of oil set? What sets the price of oil every day? And then when they say, no, that's not correct. The price of oil is set on Wall Street every day via the COMEX. That's our market, correct? Yeah. So our market's setting the price of oil. Okay, well, let's do an investigation and see who traded contracts between these two dates when the oil price was, say, $105 a barrel and shot up to well past $120 a barrel. Who made the trades? Who was the ones trading the most that would push the price up that way? Or who backed off, who's normally in their trading, so the price could rise? Because all you have to do is hold the most contracts and then back off of them. Don't trade any of them, just hold them. So you can look at a party that says they're always in there trading, they sell, they buy, they sell, the price moves up, they're just constantly in there, and all of a sudden this huge player isn't there anymore. You could determine who set the price to rise like that by doing so. And then you could say, well, this was a true conspiracy to defraud the whole world, much less the American public, the whole world, on the price of gas. And of course, it's the bankers, it's the club. But they anticipate people not knowing these things, Congress being dumb as a box of rocks and just worried about their bottom line, their back pocket, not investigating anything. Everything's fine. Bad GDP numbers, the stock market goes up. Don't look that way, it's normal. Doesn't make sense. So all we can do is sit back and watch. And when the fireworks start, you better have your silver and gold. Take care.